And here's what's cooking for today. Lonesome Georgie, where art thou going? Number two, it's Social Media Detox Day. How about this? Number three, Social Media Addicts Rejoice Day. And number four, some tips for seniors and some less nimble baby boomers. But hey, first, what about the ABCs, guys? The workout, the sleep, the diet. How's it going? Just to check in with yourself. That's important. I think got to start the day that way. Jump on the scale. You know, I love it. Well, check this out. Yesterday, I went to see this movie. I'm not going to do a movie review, but let me talk a little bit about H is for Hawk. This interesting movie. Claire Foy, she's awesome. And Brendan Gleeson. I was just watching him with the gangs in New York recently. But anyway, what's this all about? I'll tell you. This is all about grief. This is a sad movie. I mean, it's all about overcoming or maybe potentially not overcoming grief. I know a lot about that. But here's the story. It says after losing her beloved father, Helen, played by Claire Foy, finds herself saved by an unlikely friendship with a stubborn hawk named Mabel. Well, let me tell you, stubborn. It's a Eurasian wild goshawk, which you learn a lot about them in this movie. I didn't know much. I had a little bird when I was a kid. I'll never forget. I wanted a bird. My parents humored me, Sicilian old man. He humored me. He bought me this little parakeet. Loved it, Chester. I'll never forget when the parakeet they get sick or like their feathers get a little messed up. But so my father says, we're gonna take it down to the ballpark. There was a ballpark right down the street from me, baseball. We became big baseball players, my brother and I said, oh, we're gonna set it free. Set it free. Little did I know, I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old. I'm thinking, oh, this thing's gonna have a free life. That probably didn't last a minute. Probably got attacked by a goshawk because those things they're pretty vicious how they hunt. But you learn a lot about. Anyway, this is based on a true story. It's interesting. This movie has only made 150,000 worldwide. Just was released 5 days ago on the 23rd here. So what about it? What about it? Well, let me tell you. I think it's the inability to overcome the grief, but pretty cool. I mean, if you're into birds, if you're an avian person, man, go check out this movie. It's a sad movie. It's not triumphant. Doesn't hit all the spots. But if you're looking to learn more about what it is to raise these wild birds, let me tell you, they really do become connected to you. She falls in love with this bird. But speaking of the wild, how about this? I'm calling this Lonesome Georgie. Did you see this penguin? Now, this is from 2007, there was a documentary made by Werner Herzog. He's a filmmaker, German filmmaker, about Antarctica. It's called Encounters at the End of the World, right? And, well, let me tell you, I watched this video because this is sort of what's going on. It's an existential metaphor for what's going on with the youth, the Gen Z of today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the social media. And then on Friday, go back to episode 230. I did that about tweens banning them from social media because I believe that. I don't know what your thoughts are, but go look at this penguin. So it's this short video. I think it's about 4 minutes long. You see a whole colony of penguins, and then you see those that are going to the edge of the ice, which is feeding grounds for these penguins. And then there's a few, and then you see this one penguin who's just stopped and he's sort of considering choosing, do I go to the feeding ground at the edge of the ice with all those guys, or do I go and return to the colony with all those guys? But if you look at metaphors, the overconsumption at the edge of the ice, they're all scrambling for what little food there is, and the aimlessness of the colony. So those are these two little metaphors. So what's he choose? This penguin, let me tell you, what does he get? What does he do? He goes off into the mountains 43 miles away. They said 43 miles away. So he basically takes the lone world, the lonesome Georgie, not lonesome George. Lonesome George was a tortoise, a tortoise. You see that? A giant tortoise that died. But lonesome Georgie is the penguin, I'm calling him, because hey, this is what he does. And it makes a reference to these Gen Zs, the younger people They're finding the same metaphorical existential position. It's an existential crisis. What is it? Going for the soul list materialism that's been out there for a long time. Let me tell you, the 80s, it was all the go go 80s. But anyway, it says he takes the hero's journey, suffering and difficulty, trials and tribulations to go this, 43 miles. But why is he doing that? Right. Well, we know that suicide rates are going up. 50,000 people a year commit suicide. There's a lot of unhappiness in the world. Look at what we talked about. I remember the other show, To Hell in a Handbasket, because what choices do these kids have? And let me read you something, because this is what I believe in this book here. And I say, Your Way. It's chapter 15, right? This is the sub Tales of an Inner City Teacher. I taught in these high schools. And I say, I love this chapter, Your Way. It's the last one. It says, What better way to begin our last chapter than by highlighting a film about five teenagers from different high school cliques that serve a Saturday detention together under the watchful, unwatchful eyes of their authoritarian vice principal? Have you guessed it? If not, then how about if I give you the final line in this coming of age comedy drama that pretty much sums up the same trials and tribulations of the kids I've taught? And it goes like this: You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms, in the most convenient definitions. But what we found is that each one of us is a brain and an athlete and a basket case, a princess and a criminal. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club. And I'll tell you, talk about an A-plus movie. That is outstanding. And here we go. It says, other than having a homogeneous cast as opposed to the varying ethnicity of the students I've taught, my high school kids experienced the same confusion, the same self doubt, the same insecurities, and the same apathy toward their classes, and the same struggle to be understood, especially for those kids who are never going to college, i.e., the vast majority of the students I've taught. Contrary to the film's more privileged and suburban characters for whom college seemed a reality. Well, that's it. What about that? Self doubt, insecurities, apathy, all this kids are struggling. So, what are we talking about? Are they going to take this choice? I don't know, but let's just jump into the next topic, because this is what it's all about. I think we're going to hell in a handbasket, right? This was a study published in November of last year, November 2025, but the JAMA, Journal of Medical, um, uh, what is this? The Medical Association, right? Okay. The JAMA Network Open found that young adults who reduced social media use for 1 week. They did a study with 295 volunteers between the ages of 18 and 24, where they're reducing Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X. They experienced a decrease 16% in anxiety symptoms, loneliness, depression, and a 14.5% decrease in insomnia. That's the moral to the story. Reduce your screen time, right? Journal American Medical Association does the report. So what do we know? We know that now. Again, who am I? I'm the the old dude sitting here and telling these young kids what to do. But from what I've seen, let me tell you, there's no doubt that these kids need some help staying off it and focusing on what's really important, because they're at an existential crisis, without a doubt. How about this? Good news. Landmark for trial. It's a landmark trial for addicts. Are you a social media addict? We've talked about that, banning social media for tweens. Well, yesterday, the landmark trial began in LA. Yeah, no kidding. La La Land. About against several social media parent companies, Meta, YouTube, Snap, TikTok. It's all about arguing that these platforms intentionally make their sites addictive to teens. I'm sure they make them addictive. That's how they keep them coming back. It's where they make their money. Why wouldn't they make them? Cigarettes are addictive. Any type of thing like that's going to be addictive, because that's where the money is. If Says here we go. So if the teens are addicted, the tweens are even more addicted. No doubt. Right. Look about Australia. We banned it for social media. If you're under 16. France is now under 15. Well, anyway, this is the first of its kind trial in the U.S. attempting to push past the First Amendment protections, right? By alleging intentional design choices that make the platforms more addictive. Of course, they make them more addictive. That's the goal of the platform, is to have you hanging on by every last thread, right? That's the way it's going to go. Or how about this? It says the trial will test the theory that this is cool, used even as design, social media can cause serious harm. Well, what are we talking about? They're on their phones at social media at school, right? Making videos. Man, the worst is what I experienced. Young girls taking videos of other young girls beating up young girls. That's wild to me. So you got the camera, it's all about that. It's like focus, record, click, upload, post. It's out there. It's the worst of social media, in your hand with the camera. I don't know. I don't know what you guys are thinking, the ones with teens. I don't have any teens. But anyway, last Friday, I did the top 10 reasons to ban it: anxiety, depression, lack of social skills, predators, inappropriate content. There's all sorts of reasons. But anyway, they say up to 95%. I got this from Straight Arrow News. Up to 95% of U.S. teens aged 13 to 17 report using at least one social media platform, with nearly half of them describing the usage as almost constantly. It's almost constantly. They're admitting to it. So you're giving them something to use almost constantly that's harmful. And we all know it's harmful. Anyway, you guys got to deal with that your own way. The ones with kids, the ones with teens, tweens. I don't know. Like I said, when I have children, what's the point of getting on at such a young age? You'll get to it. It's not going anywhere. All right, this is for you seniors. Saw this problem with my mother and my father, but hey, what about the less nimble baby boomers? Right. This is for anybody who falls and is not able to get up, because this is important. It's very important. I mean, it's sad to say. My mom, she couldn't get up. My dad, towards the end, it's really hard for folks to get up when they fall down. So I've been watching a little of this too. Matter of fact, I did a video how to fall and roll one day for Lance Armstrong's company back in the day. But anyway, what do you do if you fall? I mean, this is serious stuff. My mother fell 3 times before finally, she couldn't walk anymore. But you have to remain calm always. Got to steady your breath. You got to like take a moment there, right? I call that. You got to sort of now regroup with your sort of spirit, the energy, with the breath, calm down, don't get nervous. Then you got to take a mental check of all the physical attributes, what's going on, seeing if anything's broke, because that happens, especially the hip. You don't want to make any sharp movements, your neck. Anyway, you got to regroup. You got to regroup mentally, spiritually, and physically. You got to get it back together, because when you're on the ground, don't get nervous, especially if you're not able to get up, because you have to learn this. And this is something that takes practice. It's roll and rise method. You got to roll over. You got to sort of bring the knee in, almost fetal position. You got to roll over, and you got to get to all fours. Maybe it's your forearms. You're steadying one hand, then the next. But you got to get to that. Roll and rise method is getting to this position where you're on your knees, you're on your forearms, you're on your hands, then you crawl a little bit. You have to get somewhere where you can brace yourself. Got to brace yourself. Then you go with the strong leg first. Strong leg's got to come up. Got to do it. This is something that takes practice. Maybe you could sit down, and eventually you're going to be able to stand up, roll up to Tadasana, yoga style. You could do that, bend your knees and roll up. But whatever you do, don't get nervous about it. I've seen it happen now, and it's something that's real for seniors, especially if you're not too nimble. Don't get nervous. If you need something wear around your neck, call somebody. But it's all about regrouping. Got to regroup when you're on the ground. After the fall, you got to regroup while you're kind of getting the roll and rise. You got to regroup once you're standing, right? Then you got to navigate. Once you're standing, take a full body, mind, body, spirit. Then you got to talk to somebody for sure. You could tell someone you're having some issues there, but it's all about having confidence and practicing with someone there, because I would try to practice with my mom. She didn't want anything part of it anyway. Yeah, a little tip there. You probably know that already, but hey, it's good to know. This one's called Free dogs. Not free bird. How about free dog? Go Yale Bulldogs. You guys see this? Yale University yesterday. They're up in New Haven, Connecticut. I remember playing at Yale baseball against them from the University of Pennsylvania. Anyway, yesterday, Yale University, I like this. They said that attending the university would be free for nearly pretty much these any undergraduate with families that make less than $100,000. Everything's free. You get your tuition free if the family makes less than $200,000. Hey, kudos. It's 90 grand to go to Yale. So, hey, that's awesome. I wish I had it when I got out of Penn. My father would give me 2,000 a year, and then I came out with about 50,000 in debt. But hey, 80% of households in the US would qualify for free tuition. I love that, man. They just beat the Tigers, the Princeton Tigers. You see, I know that. Princeton University, anybody making less than 150,000 goes for free tuition. Anybody less than 250,000. So hey, the dogs are beating the Tigers. Way to go. Quakers aren't in there, but way to go, Yale Bulldogs. Kudos to you for making it less expensive for the unfortunate folks or the kids that grew up like I did and not a lot of cash going around. All right, guys, that's it for today. You got to stay cool, stay warm. Went out there this morning. That's something else I do every single day. I want to get some fresh air, so I spend 5 minutes outside at least before I head out there again. All right, as always, focus on your ABCs, get your workout in. Have an awesome day. Peace.